Hey everyone, for Advent, we're looking at some messianic psalms. Why do the nations conspire and the peoples plot in vain? The kings of the earth set themselves and the rulers take counsel together against the Lord and his anointed. He who sits in the heavens laughs, the Lord has them in derision. I will tell of the decree of the Lord. He said to me, "You are my son, today I have begotten you. Ask of me and I will make the nations your heritage and the ends of the earth your possession. You shall break them with a rod of iron and dash them in pieces like a potter's vessel." So Advent is the time of year when we anticipate the coming of Christ. We're waiting for Christmas, thinking about when he came the first time, but also thinking about how we're still waiting for Christ to return. And the Messianic Psalms that we're looking at a lot this week is another type, doesn't really fit in the categories we've used before. These are Psalms that are talking about the earthly king, not talking about God as king, but in this case, probably about King David and his descendants. Messiah is just the Hebrew word that means anointed. It also gets translated as Christ. And so the picture in this psalm, it's kind of King David against the world, all the other nations and kings who are plotting against him. But the Lord is on David's side. And so God is just kind of laughing at these mighty kings and all their plans that aren't going to go anywhere. Right? David or his descendants are going to win out because the Lord is with them. And one of the reasons we know that is because it identifies David as a son of God. God has begotten him. And that title originally just meant that they were king. It wasn't a claim to divinity. It doesn't have anything to do with being part of the Trinity. And so that was a title that was used of David and others. And yet, as you go through the Psalms, right, this is Psalm 2. It's at the very beginning, kind of an introductory psalm. As you move through all of the Psalms, there's actually less hope in this Davidic earthly king and more hope in God as the king. And so you can see the psalmists, the people who edited and collected it, kind of wondering and working through this question of who is our king really? It becomes a major question after the exile, when there is no more descendant of David on the throne. And maybe it seems like the nation's plots weren't in vain after all. And so once you get to the time of Jesus, there's these strong messianic hopes in the sense of who is going to be the Messiah that we're waiting for. So we could wonder, well, is this psalm about Jesus instead? You know, David was promised to have a descendant on the throne forever. And yet, Jesus, we know, is a very different kind of king. We believe he is Lord of all the earth, like this psalm talks about, but he claims this title not by smashing earthly powers with a rod of iron, but by being killed by them on a cross. And even his birth, which we're about to celebrate, is a lot less kingly than what we might expect. So maybe if Jesus' humble birth and death shows us what it means for him to truly be the Son of God, what does that tell us about the God who is his Father? Maybe we still have a lot to learn about how our Lord truly rules the earth.